on this and say hi there and welcome everyone to Happy Life Habits Inspiration Point Podcast Series 3. So yes, we're on Series 3 and this is episode 1, and this series is really special. It's dedicated to women, to International Women's Day and Mother's Day. International Women's Day was just earlier this week on March the 8th on Monday, and we've got Mother's Day this weekend here in the UK. So that's what we're celebrating, and we have a fantastic panel of 6 amazing women who are taking part in our episode 3. So, and today's today's episode is with Anju Shah. She is my auntie, so I will be referring to her as Anju Mami throughout this session. And all the 6 women we have labeled as Wonder Women or Wonder Woman. So that's us started. I'd really like to share some really exciting news. Just over the last 24 hours, we've confirmed that Happy Life Habits will be celebrating International Day of Happiness. This is a day recognized by the UN, March the 20th, Saturday, March the 20th, and we will be having a session in the afternoon, 90-minute session with all of these people that you can see pictures of, and many of them are people who've either taken part in previous episodes of Inspiration Point or will be coming up soon, or maybe in the future too. And we will be having zones for laughter, relaxation, life after loss, and more. And it'll be an environment to discuss, share, express, explore, listen, and connect. Over the next 24 hours, I am hoping to get the Eventbrite information and the website information up, so you will be able to then register for your free tickets for this event a week on Saturday. That's something really exciting that we're working with. And next week, I will share a little bit more about this, and I will also share about another event which I will be taking part in on Sunday 21st as a speaker, a global event again regarding International Day of Happiness. So I'll share more about that soon. As usual, what we like to ask everyone who takes part in Happy Life Habits events, and those of you who are new to this, encourage you to take part in this as well. Would like you to just take a checkpoint at this point in time, using a scale of 0 to 10, but not using the number 7, but you are allowed to use fractions and decimals. And just for yourself, just check in where you are on that scale. What number is coming up for you and feeling as what you're feeling at this point in time. So 0 to 10, not using the number 7. And the key thing, as we keep reminding each week, is each person's scale is different. Each person's number is unique to them. So do not worry about comparing or judging with anyone else. This number is your number, and it's there just as a checkpoint for you to see where you're at and recognize what that number is. And if you choose to change that number, then the things that we share in Happy Life Habits can help you shift that number upwards. So that's what we're working with that. And yep, wonderful. Got a consistent number of 8s coming through and so forth. But whatever number it is, do not worry, it's your number. And if you need help in wanting to shift that number, please get in touch with us. Brilliant. So, ground rules are this session is being recorded, and we ask you to keep your mobiles on silent for the duration, to stay on mute. When we come to the interview process, we will ask you to switch off your videos, and then at the end, when we open up for Q&A, you're welcome to switch your videos on and ask questions either via the chat or directly by pressing the space bar coming off mute and asking your questions. Quick introduction. I am Shailin Shah. I'm a happiness coach trained in the science of happiness, and through Happy Life Habits, positively impacting happiness and well-being levels. That's what we do. And Inspiration Point is one of our projects, and the remit is it's inspiring, positive, extraordinary people sharing their journey, their challenges, turning points, daily habits, and learning through personal development, happiness, and spirituality. And for each of the people who come on this episode, we ask them the same 10 questions. And what we find is each of them has some commonality to those questions, but also each of them has uniqueness to those questions. And um, coming away from hearing these, we feel positive, we will feel inspired and optimistic. And as we ask these questions, you can consider what the answers are for yourself as well. You know, what makes you happy? What are you currently doing that inspires you? What's been your journey? And if in the future you feel like you want to come on a future episode, fill out the form on the website, and we can look into that. This whole series, series 3, as I said, dedicated to women, has been sponsored by Balance Consultancy. They've been really gracious in also having sponsored series 2, and so we're really grateful and thankful for them for sponsoring the series and helping us to continue with what we're doing with Inspiration Point. So thank you so much to Balance Consultancy for your support. The series is made up of 6 wonderful women, and tonight we will have, as I said, my auntie, Anju. She will be sharing her journey and how her upbringing in Kenya, meeting my uncle, and within a week of meeting, of courting, choosing to get married, and sharing stories about the journey from Kenya to the UK, growing up, making a life here, having children growing up, and the things they did to help support and create a positive environment for their children, full of culture and education, and also share about, at the age of 45, uncle passing away, and what that journey's been like, and how Anju Auntie has been involved with the community, innovating and creating things to help support the community. Then next week we will have Sasha Clark. She's passionate about running events for women. Mary Thompson, who's a close Happy Life Habits community member, she'll be sharing her journey of being brought up in South Africa under apartheid. I caught up with her yesterday. Some amazing stories she's got to share, and you can read some about those, as well as of all the other speakers, on the website, where we have a bit more information on their profiles. We have Hansa, who's with us today. She'll be sharing. She's a stress resilience and wellbeing expert. She'll be sharing her journey and the influence that Deepak Chopra has had on her. Sonal Dove, born with congenital hip dysplasia and been in 3 car accidents, and now a public speaker and a toastmaster and a celebrant. And Karupa Patel, she's really led a life of adventure and tried very many different things, and also had the challenge of breast cancer. And so all of them will be sharing and taking part with us. So as I mentioned, Anju Auntie was widowed at the age of 45 with 2 teenage boys to bring up, and the 2 boys have been on our episodes in series 2, Ajay and Niraj. She's a retired teacher and keeps very busy in her retirement by doing charity work, playing bridge, and looking after her grandchildren. She taught IT. She started and ran a Gujarati school. She started and ran cultural classes at the local temple, and continues to run those over the camps over the summer. She helped her children succeed in 11 plus, and then continue to share and teach that to other people to pass 11 plus. As I mentioned, she enjoys bridge and loves Bollywood, and is very creative and craftful. And we'll hear some stories about the amazing stuff she's doing with her knitting. And we might also hear a little bit of a Bollywood story too. So that is what we have today. So with a really warm welcome, I greet you, Anju Auntie, for joining us. If I could ask everyone to switch your videos off and stay on mute, please, for the rest of this session here now. And yeah, so Anju Mami is based up in Birmingham, and welcome Anju Mami, and thank you for joining us to share your story. Let me just unmute you or ask you to unmute. You're on mute. Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you, Shailene, for that introduction.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, shall we get started with the first question?
Yes.
Excellent. So, what makes you happy?
Anything that keeps me busy makes me really happy. Things like working, doing gardening, knitting, reading, listening to music, helping my grandchildren.
Excellent.
And being with my family, friends, that
Yep.
makes me happy.
And you had shared with me traveling and bridge as well, if I remember correctly.
Bridge as well, yeah.
Brilliant. Can you tell us?
Cooking is other thing that I really like and enjoy.
Yes, and we do enjoy your cooking when we meet up and visit. So that's fantastic. With the knitting, I think, can you share the story of what you've been doing with your knitting over the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, last 12 months, because I can't go out because of my health issues and all that. What I've been doing is I've done a lot of knitting for charity. I've started with earmuffs for your face masks. And then now we started knitting little blankets and for premature babies, little hats and little mitts and little booties and things like that. And I work with Seva. So we supply it to the local hospitals.
Yes. So Seva is a charity organization.
Yes, Seva is a charity organization as well. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a special group within the Seva called Seva Craft Group.
Okay. Fantastic. So you knit these, you make them, and then they're distributed via through Seva to the various places that need them for premature babies and so forth. That's wonderful. Thank you for that. And what are you currently doing that inspires you?
Currently, mainly my main inspiration is my granddaughters.
Yes.
Both of them are growing up so fast, and I'm learning so much from them. And they keep me inspired to do things for them as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And prior to us being in lockdown, the Monday was a big part of your life. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. At the Monday, we got a team of friends, mainly most of us are friends who go there and help out a lot, especially in the kitchen at the major religious events and functions. And then I'm on the committee as well. And look after the cultural side of it, where we organize all the musical programs, Antakshari, Kitchi Party, things like that, all the non-religious functions. And through that, also last 6 years, we're doing summer camp for children for 2 weeks in summer holidays, which runs from 10 to 4 p.m. And during that, we teach children yoga, meditation, games, arts and crafts, and origami. And they really love it, and they want it more. Every time they say, can we have 2 more weeks? Because they really enjoy it. Yes. And the best part about that is, because I run a Gujarati school for 13 years, and the children who come to summer camp are a lot of children of my children, Gujarati school children. Although some of them have moved away, but the parents are still here. So in the holidays, they come to grandchildren, and then they come to Monday school. And that's why we can keep in touch, and that's really inspiring for me as well. And lovely to see them grow.
That's fantastic.
And Wednesday and Thursdays, we go to old people's day center at the temple. And usually on Wednesdays, I go and help them. And with the old people, I do coloring, word search, door-to-door, things like that, just to keep them occupied for a half an hour or so.
Yeah, so it's keeping them occupied, it's giving them company.
Yeah. talking to them. I mean, most of them are so lonely, and just talking to them and talking there about their childhood and things like that, jogging their memories, and
and giving them a sense of connection and less isolation and loneliness.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. Sorry, just one moment. Yep, now that's good. And the other thing was, so previously at this Monday at the temple, I think you had shared with me that it was well established on the religious front, but there wasn't so much on the cultural side.
Yeah.
So what was your reason for developing the cultural side?
We could see that there was nothing happening as on the cultural side at the Mandir. It's a nice place and the venue is good. We got 2 beautiful halls and kitchen and all that, and wasn't used properly. So having a word with the president, I said, I'm interested in this and I would like to take it over. And he was really happy about it. And I formed my little team. And with all the volunteers, we've done quite a few successful programs. Yeah.
And with the culture, it's the aspects of language, it's music, it's dance, it's...
And also last 3 years, we started doing Janmashtami Mela, which we usually follow in Janmashtami Mela, where our 2 weeks summer school children would perform entertainment like singing bhajans or dancing. And we also have stalls for outsiders, food, and that's quite enjoyable as well and very popular at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Good. So what has been your journey, some of the challenges and major turning points, and perhaps what you can, and how you work through those, and perhaps you can start with you growing up in Kenya. And I do remember one of the things you did share with me was that by the age of 17 you were driving. So maybe the lead up to that point initially, and then
I had a very happy childhood, and I was very active as a child. I would take part in all different sorts of things: music, drama, singing, learning to play harmonium, first aid, and girl guide. And I enjoyed first aid very much because we used to go on duties to all the major functions, and especially the Nairobi Agriculture Show and any of the films premieres. Like I remember the very first I went to the James Bond one, and we had a fantastic time there. I mean, there weren't any casualties or anything, but we were just there as the first aiders to help in case there was one.
Wow.
Yeah. But that was a very enjoyable part of my childhood.
Yeah. And what you shared with me was a lot of that was proactively encouraged by your parents to explore these things and to explore these things and to focus on experiencing different things.
Yeah, and also that my parents were very, very broad-minded, and they wouldn't say no to anything. Whatever I wanted to do, they will let me do it. Yeah, as long as I told them where I'm going, with whom I'm going, then when I'll be back. Yeah, within those parameters. Yeah, and growing up in Kenya was so different to growing up here. Like in the neighborhood, you pick up 5 languages straight away. So I could speak English, Gujarati, Hindi, Urdu, and Swahili fluently. Yeah, just by playing with children and all that. Yeah. And in my neighborhood, they were mostly boys. So I used to play cricket with them and nagel and, with Indian games, ko and tapo and things like that.
Yes.
And I was very outgoing sort of, I wasn't confined to the house or do housework or things like that. Not at that stage. Yeah. Yeah. But enjoyed my company here.
And that stage, being able to then learn to drive by the age of 17?
17, yeah. I learned very early. One of my cousins taught me how to drive.
Yes.
And I got the license fifth time because in Kenya, you can't get a driving license unless you bribe them. And I wasn't prepared to bribe them. So I had to do my test 5 times. And the fifth time I got my license. But once I got the license, then I had the privilege of a car. So my father gave me a car. So I was like a chauffeur driver for the family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess it leads us to education and university.
Yeah. I did my A levels in Nairobi and went to the Nairobi Uni for 2 years. But unfortunately, I didn't finish my degree.
And what were you studying there?
Bachelor of Science degree. And I was doing chemistry, physics, and maths there. But unfortunately, because my mom fell very, very ill for 6 months, she was bedridden, and I just had to give up my studies, and then I didn't feel like going back, so I just left it at that. But then I went to teach at the secondary school. So I was teaching in the Nairobi secondary school till I went to that was between my A levels and uni as well. And after I left uni, I went for 6 months again. And in October 72, I went to India for my cousin's wedding, but unfortunately my aunt died, so the wedding was postponed. So I stayed in India for about 5 months then. So that was another experience. Yeah, staying in India. My both sets of grandparents were there. So I spent some quality time with them. And finally the wedding was rescheduled and it was over, and then I came back.
But you also experienced village life while you were there.
Village life as well, because my grandparents were in a village, and I used to fetch water for them because there was no running water there, and do all the odd bits and pieces like looking after their cattle and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. And then you said you're just saying you came back.
Yes, I came back, and the very next day I met my husband. Yeah, when I came back from India, and within a week we decided to get engaged and married in 4 months. And then I joined him here. We came back together here in September 73. Yeah, to a completely different life. First time in UK was a real cultural shock. Way of life was different to what I was used to.
Yeah. Actually, even before you go further on that, yeah, you're just going to wind it back. So
Okay.
you came back from India. You met Jamama through a friend introducing,
Yeah.
and after a week, you both decided to get married. So you courted each other during that 1 week, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So were you nervous or scared? How did you know, after 1 week that this is your life partner?
Well, what happened was when I met him for the first time, it was just a brief meeting, but then we decided to meet the second day. And we were there for 4 or 5 hours, and we just kept on talking. And from then, we met every day. And just by talking and getting to know him, and not knowing anything about his family or anything, but just life in general and things like that, then I knew that we can get on together. Yeah.
Excellent.
I wasn't scared. That was one thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you later that year you got married, and then you came to the UK, correct?
Yeah.
And tell us about the decisions of the UK, of where you chose to stay and what kind of things you chose to do.
We chose to stay in Birmingham because Chandrakant's younger brother was already here. He was a pharmacist, and Chandrakant wanted to go into business and start up a business here. So that's why we decided. We had a choice if we could to stay in London, but we decided to choose Birmingham, being a smaller city would be easier to set up a business. That's what our main aim was at that point. That's why
It must have been quite challenging of a whole new culture from
it was.
what was in Kenya to the UK culture and
Yeah.
that way. Yeah.
Yeah, mainly it was getting used to life here, the way of life here, in so many different ways. Like it's totally different from how I grew up in Kenya. The best part was because Chandrakant's younger brother and his wife were here, and we stayed together in one house, and that was a lot of support, and we got on well, and that helped us a lot. Yeah.
And when we had spoken, you had said, when you had both had come from Kenya, there wasn't, a lot of money that you guys had.
No, we didn't have any money. That's another thing. Yeah. Chandrakant started working here, and his brother was working, his wife was working, I wasn't working. So what happened was then we decided there was a pharmacy that came up for sale, and we bought it. But then my father helped us with financially to buy that shop, and also the pharmacist from whom we bought the shop was very understanding as well. He didn't want the full amount at that point. He said, just pay me when you can, like in installments. So we bought the shop, and I used to be in the shop with my brother-in-law. I used to be the shop manager, and he used to dispense because he was a qualified pharmacist. That went on for about a year and a half. And then the things didn't work out the way we wanted to, so we had to split up. And I got a job at DHSS, so I started working there. Yeah, and we didn't have any money. We started from scratch. And then again, when we wanted to buy the house, my father helped us financially to buy the house. Yeah.
Yeah. And coming back on so yeah, a lot of financial hardship there, and also on the culture side, I remember you mentioning it was difficult to settle here. You'd lost your freedom.
Yeah,
from
that's
what you
right.
had in
We didn't
Kenya.
have the main thing I missed was my car. I didn't have a car, and we used to go on buses everywhere.
Yeah.
I couldn't drive till we had a car. Yeah.
Okay. And so then, what happened next?
Next, then we were settled, and then Ajay was born in 77. I stopped working. And then Niraj was born in 79. And also, I looked after my mother-in-law, who was very ill, physically, mentally. Yeah. So for next 8 years, I was basically at home looking after three of them. But I had a Saturday job at my late husband's office. Just it was to go and collect money from their clients. That was a half a day's job, which I had it. Yeah. So yes.
And as the children were growing up and getting settled in that, you did some further studying and
Study came afterwards. Yeah. What happened in 1985 was my mother-in-law passed away, and Neeraj started full-time schooling. So I had all the time on my hand, and then my late husband found this course at Aston University. It was the very first Women into Computing course, which was for 1 year. Yeah. So I joined that course, and I'm so glad that I joined it because at the end of the course, they offered me a job there to teach on their future courses, and mainly they were for women. So I took that opportunity, and I was with them for 2 years. And also while I was doing that, what I didn't tell you in while we were talking that Ajay and Niraj were at a nursery school, and the headmaster was from Kenya as well, and we got on very good footing like. But then after the nursery, I didn't like that school, so I had to change it to another school, St. Martin's School. I moved them there. And after that, they were there for a couple of years, and I wasn't happy with that school either. So I had moved them to the next school, which is Willers Lane School, which was much, much better school. Yeah. So this headmaster, while I was working at Aston University, he phoned me one day. He said, "We got a bilingual jobs coming up. We want somebody who can speak for, Asian languages like." And I said, "Yes, I'll be interested." So he said, "If you can come, we'll have a informal interview like." And I went to the school and then we had a talk and I was interested and he offered me that job to work with children who didn't have English but who had more mother tongue language. And I accepted that for 2.5 days a week. I'll work part-time there and work part-time at the university as well. So that was my two jobs. Yeah.
Excellent.
And after 2 years at Aston University, the unit I was working with moved to Coventry. But I didn't want to travel to Coventry with young family like on a daily basis. Like, so I was just thinking what to do. But then again, I had a friend who knew the head of the computing department at Bonville College, and they were looking for tutors. And she suggested that yes, I'm available. Like, and so this Jen Bishop, head of the computing there, she rings me, says we are looking for tutor if you are looking for work. I said yes, I am on a part-time basis. Yeah. So that was my another job which continued at the Bonville College till I retired in 2008. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was another job.
And this is the Bourneville College, part
Yeah.
of Bourneville Village, which is part of the Cadbury legacy.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
So I was there for almost 17 years working there. Yeah.
Excellent.
And while this was happening, we also started Gujarati school Saturday, Gujarati and cultural school. Main reason being because when I moved Ajay and Niraj to Willers Lane School, there were hardly any Indian or Asian children there. So we wanted them to make some Indian friends, Gujarati speaking friends, and also learn Gujarati. There was an evening school. I used to take them there, but they used to get so tired, you know. Neeraj would go to sleep there when I take him to the Gujarati school. And so we decided to start this Saturday Gujarati school. And that worked very well. And I'm so glad because some of my friends, like Vinod Pai, who is here, that's how I met him. And we are still very, very good friends, you see. Yeah, because their children came to my Gujarati school and they were the first on my register.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I know Ajay did share with me that or what he had shared. The people inspiring were his friends, and I think many of them were from uh, this process of the Gujarati school as well as the
Gujarati school
community.
and Shakha, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
and so, what I'm taking away at this point is there wasn't at the temple. There wasn't a cultural um, a
This
cultural
wasn't at the
department.
temple. No, sorry, this wasn't the Gujarati
No,
school wasn't at the temple. We
yeah,
used to
no,
run it at one
yeah,
of
no,
the centers, yeah.
yes,
But we
no, no,
used to have cultural programs through Gujarati school.
yes. No,
We
sorry.
used to do dramas and dance and all that, yeah.
Yes, no, no. What
And
I
the
was,
children loved it, yeah.
yeah, no, sorry. What I was kind of summarizing was that uh, the temple didn't have a cultural department, and you felt that was important for the children and the community. So you
For the community,
helped to
yeah.
create that, and similarly, you saw a need for your children to learn Gujarati and have that community, and hence, there wasn't something there, and you took a step forward to create something, which then you were running for, double-digit years and
Yeah,
making lots of friends
yeah.
through it. So, just highlighting
That's
those
right.
aspects.
Yeah, and I'm really honored and pleased that with the Gujarati school and the cultural committee, and the summer school, I really have got good volunteers, a team of good volunteers who are really dedicated, and that's how we really enjoy running it.
Fantastic. That's good. Is there anything else you'd like to share regarding the journey aspect or
No,
turning
except
points?
well, everything was running fine till about 1994.
Mm.
And suddenly my husband had a heart attack and the life changed. So this was my second turning point.
Yes.
First one was when I came to UK for the first time. And at first I was really devastated. I mean, because it happened so suddenly. And you're there, 45 years old with two teenage boys. You don't know what to do because my husband was an accountant by profession. So I never handled any money or, bank transactions or writing checks or anything like that. Never ever. He used to give me cash, which I used to spend happily. That was it, as far as money was concerned. So for the first month, I didn't go to work for a month when he passed away. Just sat there and was thinking, what am I going to do now? I haven't even driven on motorway. That's another thing. I used to drive a car, but I've never driven on motorway. And I don't know how to write a check, I said, or bank. I don't know how to handle the money in bank or anything like that because my school's accounts, he dealt with it. And our household accounts also, he dealt with it. And suddenly he's not there. But then a lot of encouragement from my brother-in-laws and my friends, slowly I picked up everything and decided, I can't sit here and cry all that day, I have to do something. Then at that time also, previous year, 1993, I started this course at Warwick University, which was a teaching diploma for adults. So I said, no, I'll go back to the college, finish my course, and just carry on as I was before. Because I used to do a lot of home tuitions as well. Ajay and Niraj went to grammar school. They passed their 11 plus. I coached them. I did with my help of my husband, obviously. And a couple of friends, children came to me for tuition. And then everybody knew and everybody wanted to send their children for tuitions, So evenings and weekends, I was teaching English, maths, and Gujarati as well. Yeah. So that went on, tuitions went on for 10 years. My studying was there, working was there. And that kept me busy and going. Yeah.
Excellent. Shall we move on to the next question? Or is there anything more you want to share on the journey part?
No,
I think it brings us to current.
the other thing we also started in 1995 was a Hindu Women's Network.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we did was, this was specifically for all the women, which we had to stop it about 5 years ago. And we used to do lots of different conferences, courses, events for women, outings, things like that, trying to empower women. And I was the treasurer for a number of years there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. And just with what you shared so far, if I just step back and look at that, what we are looking at here is, you mentioned about the knitting and creating stuff for premature babies. So that's, the very young age. You've mentioned about Gujarati school, cultural school, 11 plus. So that's, the children and the youngsters and so forth. You mentioned about um, uh, sessions for the elderly. So that's, another phase in life
Right.
that you're helping look after. And also about the women's network to help support them. So, that cross width of from the young to the very old is there, and of all ages. So that's, I think, what's come through quite strongly
Yeah.
in what you shared.
Yeah, and
So,
also after that, Ajay and Niraj went to the uni. They've been wonderful boys, both of them. No problem at all. Yeah, they have studied, settled down now, and quite happy about that. Yeah, except that the life. What I found is life is not smooth. Everything changes. Yeah, like as you previously heard, Ajay finished his studies, got engaged, had his cancer, got married, and then, well, we were just resting for a couple of years. Niraj has it stroke. And then, so what I always feel is life has ups and downs, but somehow you have to manage through them and make most of it.
yeah, definitely. Thank you for that.
And the other thing I really enjoy now is traveling. What I do is organize travels for my group of friends. I look at different itineraries, set up an itinerary, say we're going here this time, and there, most of my friends, we all go together and really have a good time.
Fantastic. Good. So, okay, I'm going to move on to the next question, and that is, what are some of your daily habits and routines that support you?
Routines. I am a very morning person. I like to get up early, and every previous night, either mentally or I've got a little book where I write down what needs doing next day. Make a list. I'm very good at making lists. Yeah, and ticking off. I like ticking off my list.
Yes.
So that's one thing I do before I go to sleep. And I get up early, make sure my granddaughters have their breakfast and get ready and help them to, if I have to drop them, I drop them. And if not, then just see that. Yeah. Uh, the other thing I do is because I keep a list, I know what I needs to be doing and just prioritize what needs doing first and second, third, and I do it like that. That way I'm very organized.
Yes.
Yeah. And other thing I do is, you see, when I was working at school, 7 of us retired at the same time, but we still keep in touch by meeting up once a month for a lunch break. And then I've got my Hindu women friends where we meet up in the evenings for dinners and things like that. So I'm still in touch with everybody like that.
Yeah. So keeping some the social networks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. And the other thing you had mentioned to me is regular reading. You read like for an hour almost every day.
Afternoon, yeah. In the afternoons, mostly I try and read. Or I like doing puzzles as well, like Sudoku and things like that. So
Yeah.
either I'm reading or doing my puzzles or things like that for at least an hour. I do spend on that time. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all good for the mind and keeping it ticking over. That's great. What is one of your favorite quotes?
It's not a quote, but what I believe in is that if ever you want to do something, just do it. Don't wait it for next day. Yeah. Just get on with it and do it.
Yeah, and that comes through quite strongly with the things you've been up to in your life. So
Yeah.
that's great. What is an achievement that you're really proud of?
Yeah. 2019, we organized a very big charity event for the Mandir. Yeah, and I'm really proud of it because I was the main organizer for that and then bringing it together uh, with the help of a couple of other people. Yeah. So what happened was our president, he was a bit iffy. Oh, we can't do this, we can't do this. I said, no, 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 let's do it. And we had to do it at the high end. High end means selling a table of five for £500. You see, I said, we're not going for 10, £20 tickets or things like that. We want to raise some money for our Shikhar project because we're going to lift the facelift of the mandir as well because it's from an old church at the moment.
Yeah.
Now it's being done. Yeah. So that event went very successful and we collected quite a bit of money from that event. And I'm very proud of that I was part of it.
It was, can I share the figure?
Nearly £500,000.
Yeah, phenomenal. That's brilliant. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
When you're ready, you can help Happy Life Habits raise some money as well.
Yeah. Okay.
What's one of your...
I mean, sometimes you have to aim high. You know, if you aim low, then the results are low.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
What is
that event was really good because then we put on some special extra food things like, you know, we had golas for starters and things like that, and a couple of sweets at the end, extra special sweets and things like that.
Golas are special ice flavored syrup.
Yeah, that's right. We had people coming from Leicester to do it and things like that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Brilliant. What is one of your favorite books and why?
My very favorite book is a Gujarati book called Ujas. Ujas means light. It is written by Mohammed Market. This is when my husband passed away. I read it, and that gave me a lot of confidence. That book. It's a non-fictional book, and it just explains to you so very nicely about changes in your life and how you can adapt to the changes. You see, it says nothing remains stagnant, like seasons change and everything changes. And very well explained in that book. And that has been one of my favorite books.
Yeah, and it's one you've recommended to many people as well.
Yes, I have. And a lot of my friends who had bereavements like myself, I always tell them to read that book, and that will give them, you know, more confident life.
Excellent, thank you. What did you learn from your parents?
A great deal. Lots of family values, working hard, responsibilities. My mother was a very strong person. She wasn't educated at all. She couldn't read or write, not at the beginning, but then she taught herself to read and write. Yeah. And my father being the eldest of 10 siblings, and he migrated from India to Kenya at the age of 14. And then he brought all his family there, got them educated, married, settled. Yeah. And I mean, it was sort of an unconditional love that he's not expecting anything back in return, but he does it as his duty. And you could see that, and I think that had a very big effect on me, you know, family values and responsibilities.
Yes. The other thing you mentioned about your mum was the craft work.
Oh yeah, she was very, very creative woman. As a child, I remember she'll sew all our dresses and make all our cardigans and things like that. And what she will do is on a Sunday afternoon, we used to go in town for an ice cream, but we'll go window shopping as well. She'll see a new fashion dress. She'll look at it, come home, buy the similar material, and make exactly replica copy of it for us. So she was really, really good at that. Yeah.
And so that's where I can see you've picked up some of the craft.
Yeah, I've inherited some of her creativity, yeah, from that. Yeah.
And as we already mentioned, they were, in a way, you know, quite liberal, forward-thinking parents during that time, and had a lot of trust and faith in you. Yeah. Great. And the last kind of main question is, who or what are your inspirers? And
my parents, I would say, they inspired me a lot, and so are my granddaughters. Yeah. I see them growing, and I think I'm really lucky that I live with them and see them growing. And it's always a they come up with something unimaginable or some sort of answers where I don't expect that they're going to answer that like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Is there any question that I haven't asked that you'd like to answer, or is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think, Shaleen, we did mention it, but I haven't mentioned it now. Is Hema Malini.
Yes. So I think this is, yeah. So for those who aren't aware, Hema Malini is a wonderful, famous Indian Bollywood actress.
Yes.
And so we've had a bit of Bollywood already where Anju Auntie met my uncle, and within a week, they decided to get married. And my uncle really loves Hema Malini, and I will hand over you to tell us more of some of the magic and story regarding Hema Malini.
Yep.
I lost, yeah.
I'm really pleased that we were very lucky to meet Hema Malini in person twice. Yeah, because my husband just adored her, really adored her. And once we were at one of my cousin's wedding in London, and we knew Hema Malini was there in one of the hotels. So we had to leave the wedding, go and meet Hema Malini at her hotel, and come back. And the second time was when she came to do 3 of her musicals here, 2 in Leicester, 1 in Wellingborough. So with the help of my dear friend Vinod Bhai, Banju auntie looked after Ajay and Niraj, babysat for Ajay and Niraj, and Vinod Bhai and we went to Leicester. Vinod Bhai took us to Leicester and in a theatre, and we saw her performance, and after the performance she came on the stage and we had some photographs with her. And then in Wellingborough, now the organizers, because it was completely sold out, there were no more tickets left, and I really wanted to take Chandrakant to see that Wellingborough. It was a performance of Meera. So then I just kept on ringing the organizers. I said, no, I want to come and see this, and please somehow I want the tickets. Then what they said, the organizer said, all right, you come to Wellingborough at this time and we'll see what we can do. And we were offered the VIP tickets then. And after the performance, the organizer said, you stay behind for the buffet, because they had a buffet dinner then. So with the Hema Malini, we had buffet dinner after the performance as well. Yeah. And then we had to leave Ajay and Niraj in London with my sister because they weren't there. It was just us with it. We went.
Wow.
But it's up and down. Birmingham to London, drop children, go back to Wellingborough, have the performance and enjoy it, and then go back to London, pick up the children, come back to Birmingham. It was a long journey, but it was, I think, worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. But these are the things we do for love, Anju Mami. These are the things we do for love. And
I'm very pleased that I did it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also, from, science happiness, one of the things that I've learned from there, and that what they share is, you can buy, material things, and that, can give a certain amount of happiness and that, but experiences, creating experiences, or having experiences, like whether it's going to the theater or a live music concert, or what you've just shared, or going to a restaurant, those are the things which really are a big impact on our happiness. Having and creating experiences.
Yeah, that's right. It's right. I think, Shailen, most of it is that if you got an idea, like said, I had an idea, get on to the organizers. Yes, I want to do this. How can I do it? Yeah. Sometimes we are shy and don't ask or don't do it.
Yes.
But if you really want to do it, just do it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, thank you for that. That brings us to the end of the formal questions. I am going to just share the screen and ask, does anyone have any questions they would like to ask Anju Mami? Then if you can put your name in the chat or put your question in the chat, that would be good. While we are looking and waiting for that, I'm just going to launch a quick poll, and it'll take a couple of seconds to answer. And what I would like you to do is think of, again, what your happiness level is, 0 to 10, but not using the number 7 at this point in time, at the end of the session, and compare that to the start of the session, and using the poll, say whether it was higher, whether it was the same, or whether it was less. And question number 2, would you recommend Happy Life Habits Inspiration Point podcast? And question number 3, do you know anyone who may be good to take part in a future episode? So please just answer honestly what your thoughts are on those. Would appreciate everyone just taking a moment to do that. That will help us improve these sessions. So what your happiness level is compared to at the start of the session. Would you recommend Happy Life Habits Inspiration Point? And if you know of anyone who might be suitable to take part, and it might even be yourself for a future session, that is all well and good. So great. I'm just going to give another 10 seconds or so if anyone who hasn't answered yet would like to. That would be fab. And we've got one question come through, so I will ask that in a moment. Okay, I am going to stop the polling. Thank you for that. I appreciate everyone's input on that. And what I am going to do is ask, I'm going to just stop my share for a moment. So the question that has come through, Anju Mami, is from Tracy, and she is asking, what advice would you give your grandchildren? So I love that question. I think it's a fantastic one. What advice would you give your grandchildren?
What I tell my grandchildren is nothing is impossible. See, if you got an idea or if you want to do something, just do it and get on with it. There are ways how you can do it.
Brilliant. So nothing is possible. There are ways you can do it, and
always forward. Believed in nothing is impossible. Yeah.
Fantastic. Great. Are there any more questions from anyone? Okay. Yep. Tracy says thank you. Very inspirational. So that's great. At the moment, Tracy, you're just directly messaging to me, just so you're aware on the chat, but that's fine. Good. Okay, I am going to just go back to the screen share and say, no, Anju Mami, thank you so much for having the courage and taking part in this and sharing your story. And then, as I mentioned, when we caught up to work through some of the questionnaire and some of the detail, there was lots I was learning which I didn't know about your life and your journey, and a few more things coming through today. So appreciate that. There's a lot of positivity there, a lot of about the growth mindset and giving things a go and creating things if they don't exist, and that focus on education and learning, and moving on, and that's all fantastic. There's a tremendous amount of resonance with International Day of Women, or International Women's Day. You mentioned about the Hindu Network, you mentioned about the other things that you've been doing of learning to drive at an early age in Kenya, having that freedom from your parents and that sense of equality, and being in the country and going full into working and learning and sharing and all of those things. So that is great. So I'd like to say thank you again to Balance Consultancy for sponsoring this series. This is our first of 6, and as I mentioned, we got Sasha next week, we got Mary the week after, then we got Hansa then we got Sonal Sonalbin, and then we got Karupa. And just they're all got fantastic stories to share, and just snippets that are here. There's a bit more on the website. And Sasha and Mary are both who have done some happiness training, like myself, and they are on either side of International Day of Happiness. So Sasha is next week on the 17th. International Day of Happiness is on the Saturday, the 20th, and then Mary is the following week on the on the 24th. So yeah, we've got the two happiness trainers on either side of the International Day of Happiness. And as I was sharing right at the beginning of the session, just over the last 24 hours, Happy Life Habits is confirmed to be celebrating International Day of Happiness with an event. It's a free event on Saturday the 20th. There'll be zones for laughter, relaxation, life after loss, and more. And it's an environment where we can discuss, share, express, explore, learn, and connect. Listen and connect. And some of the speakers who've been part of previous episodes of Inspiration Point and future ones will be taking part. More information will be on the website over the next few days, and tickets hopefully will be available over the next day or two for you to register. And please do let your friends and family know. And really excited about us being able to celebrate this UN's International Day of Happiness. So please do join us. And we'll be using a different platform from Zoom, a new platform called Wonder, which really does help foster conversation. And that's what we'll be working with. And just again, a few hours before today's session, I got news that I have been confirmed to take part in a global International Day of Happiness event on the 21st of March, on the Sunday, by Healing Our Earth. And I will share more details of that next week, but really pleased and excited about that opportunity. If you want to be part of Happy Life Habits community, various ways you can connect and join us. And we've done our 0 to 10. So it just leaves me to say thank you all for joining us and being part of the community and taking part in today's session. Please do let family and friends know about these sessions and encourage them to join. And those of you who've got the VIP passes, you can gift invite friends. Just let me know, and I'll tell you how to go about doing that. And the recordings will be put onto the website and various platforms in due course. So yeah, really look forward to seeing all of you next week. And again, thank you so much, Anju Mami, for sharing. Brilliant. So with that, we will bid you all goodbye and have a wonderful week. Bye.
Bye-bye.